Have you ever noticed how stress or heartbreak or even buried emotions can show up on your skin as breakouts, dullness, or flare ups? So, this isn't coincidence. This is your subconscious talking through your skin. Today's guest is Cindy Tusa, founder of White Magnolia Skin Institute, and she's redefining what beauty really means. A former neonatal ICU educator turned aesthetics leader, Cindy brings the same depth of care to helping others understand that your skin tells the story of your soul. In this episode, we're diving into how the subconscious mind actually runs the show. And yes, even your skin. Cindy's no fluff, no filters approach will change how you see beauty, healing, and self awareness. And I remember when I was in my younger years, before an exam or going on a date with a boy, I would always break out. And I was like, oh my gosh, of course this is happening right now. And today I'm excited to find out why. Before we get started, a quick shout out to Dr. Bradley Nelson and iHeartRadio for your sponsorship. And to our audience, please do not forget to like and subscribe before you leave today. Cindy, it's so nice to have you here. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yes, what a topic. I mean, skin is so important. It's like what people see first. It's what we see when we look in the mirror. And it can be really jarring when you look in the mirror and you look at your skin and you don't like what you see.
100%. And then it starts a vicious cycle because then right? So often, you know, we think of the skin and we think, oh, I can use this cleanser or this moisturizer or this serum, whatever it might be, or perform this service on the skin, and it's going to fix everything. And in the short term, it can and it does, and it's powerful. But those issues are going to continue to come back because they're coming from within. And it depends on the depth that you want to go to, but you really can go an infinite depth within to really get to the root of what's going on with your skin.
Mm.
For example, we can look at the skin as having, when it has an issue, we can look at the chemical changes going on in the body and just stop there and just say, oh, it's the hormones or the stress hormone, or, and we can just look at, oh, it's my diet that's affecting my skin. And absolutely those things do affect the skin. But if we continue to even go deeper and we get into more of the quantum part of who we are, the energetic part of who we are, because we're not physical beings who occasionally have a spiritual experience. We're the other way around. We're energetic beings having a physical experience. So quantum physics has taught us that everything is energy and we are energy. And so when we have at the energetic level, we have blocks or issues or problems or limiting beliefs, then that is actually what is driving the chemical composition of the body in a large way. And that is actually what's affecting the skin. So we can't, our motto at my school is it's about the skin, but it's not about the skin because it's never just a skin issue. You can go deeper and deeper and deeper. And it just depends on where you want to go to figure out what the root of the problem actually is.
Wow. Yeah, I remember, I mean, in my past, I went through so much with anxiety, depression, feeling out of sorts, and addiction, all of these things. And I remember my skin was I always had skin issues, like all the time. And
Mhm.
so when that started clearing up and when I started like healing all of that trauma, that's when I got this glow. And now people are like, what kind of products are you using? And I'm like, no, this is just natural, right? Like, I'm doing the work. But is that a normal thing? Like before, why was I breaking out before exams and before going on dates with boys when I was younger? Like, why was that happening?
Well, ultimately, it's fear. you know, we when fear and insecurity creep in, that's so much of where our limiting beliefs are coming from. I'm not sure where you are as far as like your understanding of the subconscious mind, but it's primarily programmed for us by our caregivers and our environment up until around the age of 8, from in utero till about age of 8. And and then it's programmed through trauma and all through life with repetition, but that's the bulk of the deep programming that we come in with. And when we have programs of um, I'm not worthy, I don't love myself, I am, I'm a bad person, I'm stupid. When we come in with those programs that we didn't program, other people programmed for us. Um, that's how we perceive our environment for the rest of our lives, unless we get in there and do the work and transform those beliefs. But that, so those programs are then what, when we have a boy, right? When you're a teenage, and so all of the insecurities that come into, oh my God, he's so cute, I want to be with this boy. And then, oh, but he's not going to like me, and I'm not pretty enough, and I'm not smart enough, or I'm too smart, right? All of those things that go into that, then those beliefs then create the stress within the body. And then the body is going to instantaneously change the hormonal component. The blood changes instantly based on our thoughts and our emotions. And then that is actually what's going to affect the skin. It causes inflammation at the cellular level. And then, if we've got inflammation going on within, we've got inflammation going on the skin. And it happens like that. It's profound how quickly the changes can happen with our skin based on just our mind.
Wow. So how much of what shows up on our skin, on our face, like from breakups to glow, is actually emotional and not physical then?
I would say they go hand in hand,
Mm,
because really it's not possible. In Western society, we're so skewed with Western medicine, like what true health actually is. Um, and so the physical health being that of like your diet and your exercise and your sleep and those pretty traditional things, but we can get a lot deeper into those. And then you have the emotional or the energetic piece of it, the mindset, the stress piece. Those are equal players in my book, because if you're eating a crappy diet and drinking and doing drugs and not getting any rest and just pushing your body to the limit, you don't have the capacity to have emotional balance and peace and relaxation. Those don't go hand in hand. And so then you end up in a negative spiral. Likewise, if I'm stressed out, if I'm afraid, if I'm anxious, if I'm depressed, which I've been all of those things, and it sounds like you have too. If you are those things, you're not craving healthy food and going to the gym. You want to lay on the couch and you want to eat chips and ice cream and all of the crappy things because you're trying to feel better. So again,
yeah.
the emotional piece can drive us in a negative spiral. But just like they can drive us in negative spirals, we can also drive ourselves into more positive spirals in the same way. So I look at them as equal players in regards to the skin and how we are going to be able to obtain long-term results with our skin.
So, I mean, I've done it. I've spent so much money on beauty products every single year. And I know millions of people do the same thing, but so many people are still unhappy with what they see in the mirror. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, ultimately it goes down to programming, and it just goes into what we've been taught. You know, if we other cultures like Asian cultures and India, they get into this at a very young age. They have a very different viewpoint of what is health and who am I and those types of beliefs. In the West, we are very much about just whatever is advertised, and it's all about consumption, and it's not about reflection, for one. And so we're taught by Western medicine, to basically just drive the machine, the body, into the ground. And when it's not working well, then we go to the doctor and then we take a pill to fix our problem. Instead of, oh, if I work to achieve balance, work to heal from within, then the body is going to function better, thus the skin. But so we have a skewed viewpoint. Do I love products? I'm as addicted to products as the next person. I love them. They're fun. It's tactile. It's great. But
Yeah.
I know that when I look in the mirror, what I'm seeing is what's coming from within. If I'm stressed, if I'm tired, if I, had too much wine when I went out to dinner the night before, whatever it is, you're going to see it the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, society is teaching us in the Western way, like even out of the medical system, is you go on social media and you see all these influencers with these beauty products and their skin looks brilliant and glowing, and it sends the message that if you buy this product, you're going to look like this too. And then people look in
Yeah.
the mirror with this product and they're like, why am I not looking like that influencer? And that sends a message. Oh, so
Oh,
confusing.
and it is, and it's really detrimental because, and unfortunately, we come by this naturally because think about it. Oh, well, you have a headache, so you take this pill, right? And so Western medicine is very much about blanket treatments, right? If you
Mm,
go into the hospital with a particular diagnosis, you get a standard of care. You get the same treatment, whether you need it or not. You get these things. So we've been de-individualized as humans, with all of the big systems, with the media, with the medical world, with government, all of the things. It's because it's easier to control the masses when everybody's doing the same thing. So it's really important that we remember that there are no two humans that are the same on the planet. Think
yeah.
about it. That's profound, because even identical twins that have identical DNA are not the same. Their programming is different. And this is why, as they get older, they look a little different because of the way they're perceiving their environment. We hold our faces differently, we use our muscles differently, which cause different lines and shapes and marks to appear on the face. And so if we were to stop looking at the if we were to look at people more as individuals and say, well, sure, that's great, but it's not going to work for everybody. And just because it doesn't work for you doesn't, number one, mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that it's not yours. But we take it personally, and then we start thinking, well, it works great for this influencer and look how beautiful she is. Well, there's probably a whole lot more to the story than what's being shared about that one miracle product. And so then you leave this 17-year-old young woman, you know, beating herself up and feeling even worse about herself. I mean, it's just vicious. But
Yeah.
the if we can learn anything, and that is that who you are as an individual is the most important thing. And then, so yeah, so as you start to, tiptoe or dive in like you're diving into the deep end into self-discovery and self-healing and recognizing that this diet may work for that person, but it doesn't work for me, and that's okay. Or I'm going to say no to this because that doesn't resonate with me, but this does, even though it's not the normal thing to be doing. The more we can start embracing, I am an individual and I love myself, then the rest of it is going to start to heal, and the skin is going to absolutely show it.
So what are the subconscious messages that we're sending to our skin every day without even realizing it?
Oh my God, you're not good enough, right?
Mm,
All of those core beliefs of, um, I love myself is a huge one. I do work with folks on transforming their subconscious beliefs. Um, have been doing it with myself for over 5 years, and I help my students. I help anybody who is interested. But I would say about 80% of the people that I have worked with have a belief of they don't love themselves. They hate
right.
themselves. And so we have to start there. I am worthy. You know, I am important. I am capable. I can. These are profound beliefs that most humans, especially women, don't have. And so that's what shows up in our skin. When we're looking at the mirror, you can see um depression in the face, right? So I've dabbled in and done a lot, maybe more than dabbled, but Chinese face reading. It's profound. And you can see changes in someone's skin instantly based on the the way that they are thinking about particular subjects. Lines disappear, muscular or bone structure even can change, and that comes from the belief structure and how we're thinking in the moment. It's fascinating to watch.
Wow. Well, we'll have to do a future episode on the Chinese lines of the skin. That's very fascinating. I am so intrigued and I would love to hear more about that. And I'm sure our listeners are dying to hear more about that too. So,
Oh, for
have you ever
sure.
heard of someone's skin? Have you ever seen someone's skin change dramatically after they've perhaps released emotional pain or trauma or have gone through like a healing process?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When we work on ourselves, I mean, I can just say it even for myself. I can look at my skin or photos of me from even a year, even 6 months ago, and I don't necessarily look the same. And I probably won't look the same tomorrow. We're constantly
Yeah.
in a state of change. And you see it. I see it a lot with my students. I see it because I look for it. That's part of the reason why I do see it. Is I believe wholeheartedly in this energetic um, subconscious uh, being running the show. And so I watch for it, and therefore I see the proof of it all the time. But it's very subtle. And so if I bring it up to someone who's not super aware, they may or may not be able to see it. But it's
Right.
happening. It's
Wow.
absolutely happening.
So things like shame and guilt and stress are probably the top tier. I want to say negative emotions, or the ones that are the lowest frequency. So how would
Yeah,
those show up on the skin? Like how can you tell?
sure. I mean, we get a lot right in here in the brow area.
Mm,
Guilt shows up as excess tissue kind of right up above the brows. Um, and it has to do with kind of how we hold our faces. Um, when we think about being very self critical, we get hooded eyes that can come down. almost like curtains are trying to close because we don't want to show ourselves. Um, there's
Oh my gosh,
there's
I've hooded eyes. I've hooded eyes. I'm so
oh,
self-critical. So self-critical.
yeah, yeah. It's fascinating. And then, in like the 11s, that's a big one. Botox is all about fixing the 11s that we get in
Oh,
between the brows, right there
between the
in the
brows. What is that?
yeah.
So what does that indicate?
Yeah, so that's actually a liver area. And
Okay.
according to Chinese medicine, right, our liver holds the emotion that lives in the liver is frustration or anger. And so
Mm,
when it's flowing, this area is smooth. When our liver is doing well, we're flowing and the energy isn't blocked. But when the energy is overactive, you can get lines or redness. And when there's also, you get the 11s, and that's actually because you're blocking, you're not allowing that energy to flow. So
mm,
one might say passive aggressive
okay.
when you have just the two lines there. So, I mean, it's Chinese face. We could go on as we already, it's so fun that we kind of dabble and go down that road. Um, but yeah, we see a lot of that. And just even in the color of the skin, in the tone of the skin, you get different textures of the skin based on stress, right? When we're living a whole and like energetically calm life, our skin looks calm. When we're not calm on the inside, our skin is splotchy, our skin has texture, our skin is breaking out and dull. That's what shows up. And so, yes, can you say it's diet? Can you say it's all those things? Yes, but it's always going to go deeper.
Very interesting. How can you tell then the difference between a skin issue and a self-worth issue?
I mean, that's going to come with talking to the person or the client. And this is one
Mm,
of the things that I do teach in my course with a consultation. You can now, am I able to diagnose, oh, you have a self-worth issue? No, absolutely not. But when you start having conversation with people and you start asking them questions about the whole individual and not just focusing on the skin, and you get
mm.
into lifestyle, you get into their stressors, you get into what makes them happy, what upsets them, and you start learning about the person, those kinds of things come to the surface. And it can be very profound. I am such a firm believer in self-care and people receiving these services, because if you meet with the right person, it can be profound how someone can, just putting their hands on you can help you release and let go. And sure, that you're there for your skin, but you're getting a lot more than just for your skin when you go to an esthetician or someone to perform services. It could be massage, it could be anything.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I dealt with so many skin issues when I was growing up, and I remember having eczema and just, but I was always high anxiety and, always worked really hard, but never felt good enough. And I had low self-esteem and just, I wasn't sure of myself and it was just constant. And then I would go to the doctor and they would give me creams and, medication for it. And it would help a little bit, but it would never solve the problem. It was like a
Right.
constant cycle. And it was really, really frustrating. And then you kind of just, you feel defeated because then it makes you feel even worse about yourself because you're
Right.
already feeling low. You have no confidence and now you look in the mirror and you see all these blotches and acne, and that's a really, really scary place to be. And it's really depressing. And a lot of people are going through that.
Oh, 100%. And and the other piece that is so important to keep in mind is the microbiome. We don't, as a
Mm,
society, really embrace our microbes a whole lot. We're taught that microbes like bacteria are bad. And they're not. We have trillions and trillions of bacteria, virus, parasites, all kinds of microbes that and fungus that live in and on our body. They are like an entire other organ system. We can't see them, but they are critical for our survival. And most of them are beneficial. And it's important that they stay in a nice balance. Well, I can affect the balance of those microbes, which you reminded me because of the eczema. That's your microbiome putting on a really good show. And
Fireworks.
when the microbes are in balance, but our mindset and our beliefs and our stress affect the microbes, just like they can affect our mindset as well, because it's all energetic. They are living beings, if you will. I know that makes me sound like a crackpot, but it's true. They are alive. And we can get into even our cells. The mitochondria, the energy producers of our cells, actually came from ancient, the evolution of bacteria. So there's a lot of interplay between the physical and the energetic at the visible and the invisible level. And that also plays into things like eczema and acne. And so it's not just the chemicals, it's so much more. But I'm glad you brought up the eczema because I forgot about my poor microbes. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, so how do we support our microbiome? And I guess is stress would cause it to be depleted, or what happens when we're stressed? Yeah, and how do we support our microbiome?
You bet. I mean, yes, stress absolutely is going to affect our microbes. And we have some microbes that deal better, live better, or thrive more in a hostile environment, and those that do not. And so
Mm,
and the ones that do not are the ones that we want more of. Um, Diet is an easy way to affect our microbes. Sugar feeds yeast. Yeast is not a beneficial microbe in abundance. It's there for a purpose, but it doesn't need to be overgrowth, right? Um, so cutting back on sugar, preservatives, artificial sweeteners, artificial colors, things made in a lab that aren't necessarily human food. Just
mm,
because someone says it's human food, if it's made in a lab, it's not.
yeah.
And those really harm the microbiome. But everything that goes into being a healthy person is going to benefit the microbiome. So a peaceful mindset as much as you can, working on your stress, exercise, eating a non-fake diet, lower carbs, gosh, so many things. Getting adequate sleep. We
Mm.
way under play the importance of adequate and good sleep.
Well,
Um,
yeah, we're taught
Getting
to
out in
hustle,
nature.
work hard, wake up early, go to bed late, stay up and work,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's killing us. It's
yeah.
not a state of health. And nature. How many people don't spend any time in nature anymore? And you know, so many things go into health and balance. And when we can just work to achieve that, our skin absolutely shows it because that's all the skin is asking for.
Mm.
Our bodies are miracles. They are miraculous. They change by the millisecond to deal with our environment. And they're constantly in a state of protecting us and healing us.
Mm.
So all we need to do is give it more of what it needs to thrive, cut back on some of the crap, whether it's toxic inputs from media, whether it's toxic lighting, whether it's toxic foods, cut back on the toxic stuff, boost it with some the stuff that it's looking for, and it can do the work. It really can. But we're not taught that. We're taught wait till it breaks and then take a pill.
Yeah, and I want to touch on the message that is also out there that beautiful skin means smooth, no pores, blemish free. I know like growing up, even now, you like the filters that are out there. Oh my God, you like I don't even know who's real and who's not anymore or what they actually look like. Um, and it's absolutely crazy. It's like beauty according to the world is like doll face. So it essentially has been
Yeah,
taught to us. And so when we see an actual human being's face and there's pores, which is what a human looks like, we think that's wrong and we have to cover it or do something about it.
absolutely. And we can't. We have to get away from, first of all, comparing ourselves to other things, right? Again, all of the filters and all of that. It's very toxic. Like I said, the media can be very toxic in a lot of ways. But the and my mind is trying to escape me at the moment. But when we are able to recognize that our skin is talking to us.
Mm.
So when we look in the mirror, instead of going, oh my God, I look like hell, or I am so ugly, or whatever it is, when we can go, what are you telling me today? I've got bags under my eyes, or I'm red and splotchy, or I'm breaking out, and use that as a message to say, well, what can I do? What this is obviously telling me I'm not in balance. So what can I do to listen to my body more and take it more from like what I'm showing other people, and look at it more of, oh, I'm being given basically a list of, here, address this, and this as a message from your skin. So I know you do the same. I know you do. We look in the mirror and you're like, oof, oof, I did not sleep well last night, right?
Yeah.
You can tell when you look in the mirror. Or you walk by one time and you're like, oh, I look pretty good. You pass a mirror and you catch a glimpse of yourself and you're like, I feel good, or I look good today. And that's coming from within. Your skin is reflecting to you how you're feeling on the inside. I've played with it where I've walked past and been like, whoa, whoa, that wasn't my best look. Let me get myself into a better spot, and walked by and looked and been like, okay, that's who I want to see.
Right.
You change by the instant. I play with this kind of stuff all the time. But yeah, it's
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I
our
can tell
skin
you
is
that
talking.
this morning I woke up and I saw that my eyes were really puffy and it's because I ate some salt and vinegar chips last night. Like I 100%. I was crushing chips last night and I woke up and I was like, yep, that'll do it. But I woke up and my eyes I had like puffy under the eyes. So excess salt and all of that junk that is in processed foods can definitely make us look super puffy in the morning, especially. And
Sure.
so yeah, I just laughed at myself and I was like, all right, Urbanski, put the chips down.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's probably more the seed oils that they're cooked in.
Mm,
So the canolas, the soy, corn, all of those oils that you can buy in the grocery store in those big jugs, those are toxic for our bodies, but we eat them all the time and they're very inflammatory. And so no, I'm not good at the chips. But then, oh, wait, here, let me give you a reinforcement that those chips aren't a good idea, right?
yeah.
For your health. But then again, it's all about balance. If you're really wanting the chips, eat the chips. Just know, oh, I'm going to maybe drink a little more water or take myself for a nice walk and get outside or do something to balance or counterbalance those negative inputs from the chips. And now I'm craving chips, by the way. So
I'm sorry.
it's all right.
So, I mean, you worked in medicine and aesthetics. So, what truth about healing unites both worlds?
Oh my gosh. You know, the body can heal itself. And
Mm,
this is a thing that we are also not taught. Our bodies are miraculous and they absolutely can heal. And this, when I worked in the NICU, one of the reasons why I really loved working with the babies, for one, I loved the super critical, crazy resuscitation, and I loved the quiet feeder grower breastfeed. I loved it all. But with babies, we were always doing the least amount of intervention possible and getting our babies as natural as possible, getting them to the breast, skin to skin with their mothers. Those were the goals because we know the baby's going to grow, the baby's going to develop and thrive if it's given what it needs. We
right,
don't have to force it to grow or anything like that. It's going to happen. And the skin and the body for adults is the same way, but we have very different messaging for adults. It's, oh, well, you've lived a lifetime of beating your body up, so now just cover up the symptoms. Covering up the symptoms with a medication doesn't do anything for health. If anything, it makes it worse because now your body's got an additional load of having to detoxify that medication. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that medications don't have their place. Trust me. I mean, there are times for them. That's not what I'm saying. But when it comes to healing in our skin and just generalized health and wellness and living a prosperous, peaceful life, if we just give the body what it needs, just like the baby, give it some love, give it good food. Breast milk's the best, right? Give it
yeah,
what it needs. That child's going to thrive. And so it's the same thing for adults. We need love. We need patience. We need good food. We need sunlight. We need all the things. But unfortunately, we don't treat adults the same way.
yeah, absolutely. So, can we actually reprogram our skin by changing our thoughts? And how do we begin?
Oh my gosh. Well, again, every human's journey is going to be different. Um, some folks are going to really resonate with going and taking care of the physical things, taking care of that diet, first off, and exercise and focusing on those physical health markers. And then um, there, there are going to be those folks that are going to go into the more emotional, mental, spiritual realm and want
Mm,
to heal from that perspective first. They're all going to work for each other. You just have to start. And so it's all about being open and listening to things and seeing if something resonates with you. I don't need to be told what I need to do for my health. I listen to my body, and if something catches my attention, I'm like, "Oh, well, that let me do some reading about that. That might be beneficial for me right now." Because things come to us when we need them if we're
right.
open and paying attention. And so it's about that. It's about do one thing.
Mm,
Find one thing. Whether it's you find whether and I know meditation gets a bad rap even though it's profound. Um, Going for a walk in
mhm.
outside. That could be an easy thing to do if you're not already doing it to benefit not only your skin, but your health and your cells and everything. A walk is profound in its ability to get us to shake the cobwebs off and to feel better. So
Yeah.
we don't have to take big drastic steps to get started. You just start with one thing. Maybe it's I cut out all of my sugary beverages.
Mm,
Um, right? The Starbucks or the coffee drinks with all of that sugar. Oh my gosh, it's poison. So eliminate that or cut down to once a week or twice a week from every day. Any little bit of effort you can make in these aspects are going to be beneficial. And then as you start to notice how you feel better, then you go, oh, I'm going to try, oh, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to, um, find somebody to help me with transforming my subconscious beliefs because I don't like this feeling that I'm not good enough. I need to feel better about myself. I need to love myself, right? I mean, it really is just about finding what resonates. And there's
Yeah.
an infinite amount of information that you can go with for sure.
Yeah, it's true. Once you start with one little habit changes and you see like the needle moving a little bit, then it makes you want to do more and more and more, and it gives you momentum. So I know for me, one of the first things I started doing was just drinking more water, like simply drinking more water. And then suddenly I've
Yeah.
got this like routine of meditation. And one thing I want to ask you, it's a little off topic, but red light therapy is really popular right now. What are your thoughts on red light therapy for your skin?
It's gained in popularity, but it's been around for a long time. Red LED has been a thing for a long time. But yeah, it's very beneficial. That frequency, I want to say it's like 670 or so nanometers, is very penetrating into our being and is beneficial. Absolutely. Far infrared light is also very good for us. So we are light. And so when we get positive light sources, those longer wavelength lights, we really thrive with those for sure. Yeah,
Mm,
it's gained in popularity, but it's been around for a long time.
beautiful. So, Cindy, tell us a little bit more about the White Mongolia Skin Institute and more about where people can find you.
You bet. We are a small aesthetic school in Fort Collins, Colorado. Um, we've been here for 9.5 years, and we have small groups. It, I definitely, when we created this school, it was about because I had been a nurse for 20 years. This was about really getting a little depth into the industry if I had to do it one student at a time. And we've just been tweaking and growing and adapting our curriculum over these years. And it's been wonderful. I love the small groups. I really have amazing young, well, women come mostly. I have had two men come to the school, and we teach an aesthetics program. We also teach advanced courses like chemical peels and microneedling and such. And then I recently launched our online program that is for all estheticians that have gone to a program where all they taught was the licensing exam. And so they didn't get the hours and hours and hours of hands-on that we do. And so they lack confidence in the treatment room. They lack confidence talking to clients. They lack that critical thinking piece that says, oh, wait, I ask these questions of the client and then I determine what's best for my client.
Right.
And so we've created a program online that is that has tools to teach people how to critically think and how to do that consultation and build that connection with their client to get those results. And it goes into the physical health, the non-physical health, and the subconscious mind, as well as chronic inflammation and all of the things. So it's there's a lot in there. And everybody is meant to just take from it what resonates with them
Yeah.
and what they can use in that moment for their clients.
So tell us where people can find more information about you and the school.
Oh, sure. If you go to whitemagnoliaskininstitute.com, you can find us. I have a contact form on there. Feel free to reach out if you have questions or you'd like more information about something that I spewed out today. Or if you're interested in that integrative esthetician course, there's also a link on our website for that as well. So it covers all the bases. It's a one-stop shop.
Beautiful. Well, it was so much fun talking to you today. The last question I will ask you before we
Okay.
go is, what to you does real radiant beauty look like?
Ooh, to me, it's someone who's just 100% in their being. I
Mm,
love it when people, it's more than confidence. It's I know who I am,
mm.
and I like who I am. I love who I am. That is radiance to me. Because it really, skin is, again, like we've been talking, it changes so much. It changes by the minute. But when you get that true radiance and that true being is coming forth, that's powerful. And that's really good skin.
Yeah, it's like an aphrodisiac. When someone is so sure of themselves and are so confident and just know who they are, like it's like a turn on.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Well, again, it's going to be all energetic, and you feel that. When you can
Yeah,
feel when someone is in your presence, and they're just a, another, like a good person. That's not even the right way of saying it. They're a whole person.
yeah.
And so they don't need to take from people around them. They have an abundance to just that flows forth from them. That's what you're feeling.
And what's interesting is if their skin isn't quote unquote perfect, it doesn't matter. You still
Doesn't
feel
matter.
their energy and it doesn't matter what they look like. It's just you could feel that power in them. It's so interesting.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you think about it, there's beautiful people, attractive people, right? We have in our mind what beautiful people are. But when someone is radiant and they are just their whole being, it doesn't matter what society says is beautiful, they come off as truly beautiful, whether their sex is asymmetric or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's coming from within. And that's what we see.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited
Yeah,
to hear more from you in the series that you will
yeah,
be doing with us, where we'll
yeah,
dive into so much more of this.
right.
Perhaps the Chinese mapping system next time for the
You
face. I
bet.
think the audience would love to hear more about that.
You bet. We kind of touched on a lot of topics today, so we'll be able to address and go deeper into several of those. For sure. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Tons of fun. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
And to our audience, please do not forget to like and subscribe. And when you look in the mirror next time, baby, see what your face is telling you. Make little changes. And then people will start to say, where are you getting that glow from? And you'll be able to smile on the inside because you're going to be like, it's coming from within. Until next time, take care, everybody.